Hey guys, Adam Trigger here, wagertalk.com. It's wildcard weekend in the NFL. We're going to be talking Chiefs and Dolphins. But first, head on over to WagerTalk and use coupon code SUPER20 for 20% off any all access package. Any handicapper all weekend long, use coupon code SUPER20. All right, Chiefs, Dolphins, this number is up to 4.5. And let's start with sort of the narrative going into this game. The Dolphins are banged up, and we know the weather is going to be cold and nasty in Kansas City. So let's kind of talk about how that, makes the line where it is. I think that's baked into the line. I think now that the line is 4.5, those things are taken into consideration. And if I'm going to bet this game, which I very well may, I'm looking at, potentially, at what point can I jump in with the Dolphins and how, much of that narrative really belongs in there, moving the line to 4.5, and how much of it is just kind of noise. So the thing you're going to hear all week long regarding this game is the Dolphins have had 10 straight losses in the cold. They can't win in the cold. They have no shot because it's going to be freezing, cold, windy in Kansas City on Saturday night. And that's true, but I would argue that it's not as big of a deal as the sort of, masses are making it out to be. And I kind of disagree with moving the number because of the weather. Now, the injuries are one thing, and that would be more notable. But the injuries that I'm more concerned with are the injuries the Dolphins have on the offensive side of the ball. Because I think if the Dolphins offense is full strength or as close to full strength as possible, that they're going to be fine here, and it's going to be a pretty good bet. So let's go back to the weather for a second. The Dolphins, you're going to hear that 10 straight losses, but the two most recent ones, which were toward the end of last season, were both up here in Buffalo to the Bills. I was at one of the games, and both by 3. So a 3-point loss here for the Dolphins would be just fine. That stays within 4.5. I'd also argue that last year's Bills team was in a better spot than this year's Chiefs team is entering the playoffs, because you're going to hear Dolphins injuries, this and that. But what I don't think is being highlighted enough here is what a mess the Chiefs have been offensively the last 2 months of the regular season. This is, not like Chiefs offenses in the past where they may have lost a couple weapons in the passing game, but Travis Kelce was there to bail them out. That hasn't been the case. Kelce's been awful. The receivers haven't been very good. It's caused Mahomes to struggle. And so I think the Dolphins defense, which did hold their own in that game with the Bills, it can play okay here. The Dolphins had 3 turnovers, 3 sacks, and really they controlled that game against the Bills until a punt return sort of turned it on its head. That was a 14-7 game before the Bills took a punt back 97 yards to tie it. It wasn't really the defense, that kind of, let that game flip. The other takeaway from the Bills game as it pertains to this Dolphins defense is I felt like they were, pretty stout against the run. It really wasn't a traditional run game that was doing anything against the Dolphins. It was Josh Allen's ability to extend plays and take on defenders, make plays with his legs. Now, if the weather is what it's projected to be, cold and windy, that might hurt the Chiefs more than it hurts the Dolphins. The reason for that is the Dolphins' run defense is very good. And I don't think that's going to change based on a couple of guys potentially being out here. I still think you're going to see the Dolphins be able to really defend the run well. And what that's going to mean is the Chiefs are going to need to throw the ball downfield to Kelce, to those receivers, which is not something that I have the utmost confidence in them doing right now. If the Dolphins offense is healthy, they've got the right guys to put together a short passing game. So I'll be looking for guys like Mostert and Jalen Waddle to be out there. We know Hill is gonna play because if they are, I think Mike McDaniel can put together a game plan where he's utilizing the short passing game, which we know when that works for the Dolphins is as effective as any sort of offensive scheme in the league. And if they can get that, if the Dolphins can get that going, I think that's like potentially the biggest, weapon to combat the weather. Not, it won't be the Dolphins can't play in the cold. it's going to be the Dolphins have a much better way to combat cold and wind than the Chiefs do. So it's very possible that the cold and this weather might help the Dolphins more than it helps the Chiefs. But it is a little bit of a wait and see. And the wait and see here is just going to be if the Dolphins are healthy offensively or close to full strength offensively. And, Mike McDaniel's come out and said he's optimistic that guys like Jalen Waddle and Raheem Mostert are going to play. And I think if you see those guys ruled in and you're still able to get 4.5 with the Dolphins, I think that's a great bet. So it's not something I've bet early in the week. I want to make sure I'm getting as close to a full strength Dolphins offense as possible, but it's something I'm certainly looking to add to my card. I think there's a lot of value with the 4.5 points in the Dolphins in this game. And I would not have any interest in backing the Chiefs here. So Dolphins plus 4.5. As of now, it's a free pick. Check back. Follow me on Twitter at TopFlightSI. If I do add this to my client card, I will certainly tweet that out. And hit the like and subscribe button for more free NFL picks through the entire playoffs.